I'm going to look in the camera and say, somebody drag me into deep water. I'm telling you, I want to feel what it's like. I want to see if I can swim or not. Jon Jones, if you can drag me there, take me there. Because right now, all these guys are saying it, but no one can do it.
You know, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think what it is being so good at what I do that it's just almost never enough. I'm very aware that, you know, that the Tom Aspinall is like, it's making more headlines than Stipe. You know, when I win, there's always an excuse. Well, oh, he really wasn't that well-rounded.
Jon, in my opinion, if you look at his body of work over the last 15 years, he's like as close as you can get to perfection as possible. He's like 37, 38 years old, but not only that, he's got 1 million miles on the clock. So he's got a lot of damage on the body. He's took a lot of shots to the head. And that's not me saying anything negative about it. That's the reality of it.
If you make an Islam vacate, Jones needs to be stripped.
A lot of people are speaking on this. In fact, they've started a petition. The people have spoken. They have started a petition, and it's on 17,000 votes. 17,000 people in the MMA community so far in a very short amount of time are all saying, strip Jon Jones. And one of those people, I doubt that Jon Jones has told the UFC that he's going to retire. Because if that's what he said after this amount of time, after stringing the UFC along for so long, after messing around with Tom Aspinall for so long, if this is what he was going to do, they would turn around straight away. They would hold a press conference and say, you know what? Jon Jones ain't the man that we thought he was, okay? He doesn't want to fight Tom. He's clearly scared. He's worried about getting knocked out. He's worried about his legacy.
Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. It's not going to happen. I'm over it. It's done. I don't even understand how Jon Jones is still holding the title. People coming out trying to get clicks. I'm over it.
The MMA community is fed up with the lengthy wait for the fight between interim champion Tom Aspinall and heavyweight champion Jon Jones. Fans have asked that Jon Jones be stripped. Tom Aspinall wants to fight Jon Jones not only for the UFC heavyweight title, but also to fully test himself. The majority of Aspinall's battles have concluded fast, thus he is yet to face a long, arduous battle in the octagon. He's curious to know how it feels to be pushed into the latter, more difficult rounds of a fight.
We're going to drag him into deep water. We're going to drag him to the later rounds. So I was preparing myself for the later rounds. You know what I mean? That was me. I was going slow in there, man. That wasn't me trying to knock him out at all. I never looked for the finish. I was like they're saying they're going to drag me into deep water. I'm going to look in the camera and say, somebody drag me into deep water. I'm telling you, I want to feel what it's like. I want to see if I can swim or not. Jon Jones, if you can drag me there, take me there. Because right now, all these guys are saying it, but no one can do it.
I'm sure Jon Jones is aware of that, and he's fighting one of the most concussive punchers in UFC history. And I just think I can exploit it. Like, I think to get out the way of me for 25 minutes at this point in his career without getting hit once, and that's all I need is one. I think that's going to be very difficult for anybody.
He sees Jon Jones as the ideal opponent for such a fight, someone who can push him to his limits and test his endurance, mental strength, and combat spirit. For Aspinall, it's more than simply being a champion. It's about showing to himself and the world that he can battle one of the best fighters in UFC history. However, Jon Jones knows that the UFC world is buzzing about a prospective fight with Tom Aspinall, and he is well aware that many fans are cheering for Aspinall to defeat him. Jones thinks he gets why some supporters just want him to lose. Jones feels that after dominating the sport for so long with an almost perfect record, supporters are eager to see his reputation tarnished, and they now regard Aspinall as the likely culprit.
You know, when I win, there's always an excuse. Well, oh, he really wasn't that well-rounded, and it's hard to compare to any other fighter because I don't think any other fighter in our sports history has ever had to deal with it. You know, I just beat Cyril Gane, and we can go back in a time machine and hear the way that people talked about Gane. You know, and then as soon as I beat him, he's like, oh, well, he wasn't that, or he's this, and like, so it's a very interesting place to be in, and
Michael Bisping did not hold back in his latest reaction video. Is it time to strip Jon Jones? And he makes some important arguments, which many fans are beginning to agree with. Jon Jones is a legend, probably the greatest light heavyweight in MMA history, and now a two-division champ with the UFC heavyweight title. But there's a problem. He's holding up the division. Bisping's irritation is palpable. He's asking that question that everyone has been wondering. Why hasn't this fight been scheduled yet? What's the holdup? Instead of a simple unification match between Jones and Aspinall, we're getting cryptic tweets from Jones, who mentions retirement one day, and then says he's fine the next. He appears to be more focused in enjoying life, blogging about partying and living comfortably, which is understandable given that he has made his money and protected his legacy.
Okay, Tom Aspinall, the interim champion, has been the interim champ for 70% of Jon Jones's reign. They need to fight one another, and what the F is going on? Why isn't this fight scheduled? And now, of course, we've seen all this stuff coming out about Jon Jones. He's not sure, he's tweeting, he might be retired, he might not be retired, he's living his best life. I mean, that's all well and good. Of course he's living his best, and with that, he's made a tremendous amount of money. Of course, you're living a good life, but as the heavyweight champion of the world, you have a debt, you have an obligation to the fighters, to the fans, to the rest of the division, to your bloody self, to prove that you are the undisputed champion of the world. He's not the undisputed champ because there's an interim champion. And I'm not saying this as someone trying to shit on Jon Jones. No, this is just the situation. Now, first of all, talking about living his best life. You've probably seen this right now. He's out in Thailand, he's driving around, he's on the back of someone's motorbike, he's having a good smell of somebody's hair.
However, the UFC is not a retirement club. Bisping's point is this: if you're not going to defend the title, especially with a hungry interim champ waiting, it's time to make a decision. Schedule the fight or strip the belt and let the division move on.
First of all, talking about living his best life. You've probably seen this right now. He's out in Thailand, he's driving around, he's on the back of someone's motorbike, he's having a good smell of somebody's hair, he's with some Russian dudes because Jon Jones and Nate Diaz are filming some like Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter. Jake Shields was there. The guy that was riding the motorcycle comes in, kicks off to, he's still hammered from the night out. He doesn't look like he can fight his way out of a wet paper bag, but he's swinging punches and all this type of stuff. Nate Diaz gives him a slap. Jon Jones is laughing his head off. Be careful out there, boys. Anytime you're dealing with a bunch of Chechens and a bunch of Russians, you gotta be careful. This is number one bullshit, okay?
This is number one bullshit.
I'm telling you, just watch what you're doing, fellas. No wonder they got out of Dodge and got the fuck out of there. But what is Jon Jones doing, right? Because a lot of people are now calling for him to be stripped. Adam Cattrall from the Fight Disciples, he said this week, it's time for him to be stripped.
We're going to get to that stage, mate, of defend or...
Jon Jones heavyweight. Situation is spiraling out of control, and more fighters, fans, and experts are calling for the UFC to take the title away from him. As much as Jones is enjoying his life in Thailand, shooting reality shows with Russians and Nate Diaz, he is not in the cage, and the division is left waiting. Furthermore, Michael Bisping makes it clear that being the UFC heavyweight champion is more than simply a title, it's a duty. Jon Jones owes it to the division, the fans, and himself to defend his championship and show he is the uncontested king. Right now, he is not, since Tom Aspinall is the interim champion and has been for the majority of Jones' term.
Robert Whittaker, one of the greatest ever, said, honestly, who cares now? I'm done with waiting. It's like Elder Scrolls 6.
You're going to have to play something else, mate.
He says, I don't know how Jon Jones still holds the title. Like I've mentioned when we first started speaking about this many moons ago, how I was like, no one's stripping Jon Jones. You can't do that to him. But mate, you're taking the piss now. And he is taking the piss. Even Paddy Pimblett's got in on the action. He said, listen, I didn't think that they would make Islam Makhachev vacate the belt. But if they're going to do that to Islam, then they've got to strip Jon Jones.
If you're making Islam vacate Jones.
It's been nearly a year, and Jon Jones has yet to confirm his return to play Aspinall. Jon Jones has been tweeting from Thailand, bragging about enjoying life and losing weight while filling his face, basically mocking fans who want to see him compete. When someone suggested that he be stripped of his title, he responded, "Do I come across as someone who cares?" That is the trouble. If Jon actually does not care about being king anymore, why not just give up the title and let the division move on? So everyone is asking that Tom Aspinall, the interim champion, become the full champion and restore momentum to the heavyweight scene. If Jon wants to return later and recover it, that's fine, but don't hold the entire division hostage.
17,000 people in the MMA community so far in a very short amount of time are all saying strip Jon Jones. And one of those people is Tom Aspinall's former opponent, Curtis Blades. He said, listen, without a doubt, they should be stripping Jon Jones. And everyone is starting to get a little bit tired of it. And now Jon Jones is even tweeting and alluding that maybe the fight's not even going to go down. Let's just take a look at the Twitter feed of Jon Jones. He says, I've been out here in Thailand, I'm enjoying life, I'm stuffing my face every day, and I swear I'm losing weight because the food's not full of shit and chemicals. That's why. Someone says you should be stripped. He said stripped low. Do I come across as the type of person who cares about things like that? Well, if you don't care, do the right thing. Relinquish the belt. Give it to Tom Aspinall. Let the division move on. And if you want to stroll back in and take the belt back, do it at your own time. Remember, he shared a video the other day. It's a meme that's going all over Instagram. It's a bunch of dogs all barking and being dickheads. And then some big like alpha dog walks in and sticks the other dog down. John's like, this is what it feels like walking back into the UFC.
So, is this some sort of great misunderstanding between Jon and Dana? Highly unlikely, because if Jones truly informed the UFC that he was leaving, Michael Bisping questioned whether Dana would simply sit there and say nothing if Jon told him, I'm done. I'm not fighting Tom. No way. Now they'd have stripped him, held a large news conference, and declared Tom the winner. Let's not forget that Jon Jones was the youngest UFC winner in history, and he dethroned legends. Now that he's a legend, it appears he's avoiding the very job he once accepted.
The whole time in New York at Madison Square Garden, at the press conference, pre-fight, post-fight, after the fight, now still not giving any clarity on whether or not he's going to fight the guy. You have to defend the belt. It's as simple as that. If you are a fighter, you have to fight. If you are a champion, you have to defend the belt. And if you're not doing that, then shame on you. Going back to his Twitter feed, someone says, yes, otherwise you'd have vacated the belt a long time ago because you don't want to fight Tom. He says, y'all barking up the wrong tree. I told the UFC my plans a long time ago. I have no clue why they haven't shared them with you guys yet. So that set off a bit of a shitstorm. A lot of people saying, well, of course the UFC knows that he wants to retire, that he wants to walk away.
So you got 10 years left, but you're still active. Oh, yeah, I'm done.
I don't know what the score is there. Only Dana White and Jon Jones knows the true story there. But I doubt that. I doubt that Jon Jones has told the UFC that he's going to...
In the end, Dana White will have to make the right decision and call. Tom Aspinall is in his prime, hungry, and ready to fight, but he's left waiting. Every month that passes is important time lost. Time he could have spent defending the title, cementing his legacy, and raising the division. If Jon Jones refuses to commit, the UFC should stop sheltering him and allow the division to move forward. Fans demand clarification, fighters deserve a chance, and Tom deserves to be recognized as the true indisputable champion.
This is insane. Jon Jones is the heavyweight champion of the world. He's not undisputed anymore because it is simply disputed. There is two champions, and as a man, you want to settle the score once and for all. And Tom Aspinall, on the flip side, he's getting sick of it. He's mentally tired, and I'm sure he is. He's told me many times he's sick of talking about it. He told Mighty Mouse it's starting to wear on him mentally, starting to get him down.
A little bit more of a tricky time for me mentally than it was then.
He should be out there fighting every 3, 4, 5 months.
Renowned. Commentator Chael Sonnen is also shown frustrated by the continued commotion, expressing his dissatisfaction with the uncertainty surrounding the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight. He claimed that the potential fight is unlikely to occur and that he had quit expecting it. He questioned how Jon Jones is still the UFC heavyweight king and attacked the continued delays and lack of clarification.
Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. It's not gonna happen. I'm over it. It's done. I don't even understand how Jon Jones is still holding the title. People coming out trying to get clicks. I'm over it.
Furthermore, Sonnen points out that Jones holding the belt, while there is no scheduled bout, causes uncertainty for everyone involved and halts the sport's progressive momentum. Sonnen tells the younger fighters not to follow Jones' footsteps. They will not have the same outcomes. Despite this, Sonnen thinks that if the fight takes place, Jones will still be the betting favorite, even if Tom Aspinall is younger and bigger.
This fight is a smaller fight now than it was 3 months ago. Aspinall versus Jones, which, by the way, I don't maintain for you, couldn't be resurrected. I don't maintain for you that it could be resurrected with one press conference or one Instagram live by Dana. I'm just sharing for you right now. And I have numbers, audited numbers on my YouTube page to back up my claim when I tell you Jones and Aspinall was not only hotter 3 months ago, it was hotter than that 5 months ago, and it is coming to an almost crawl.
He used Robert Whittaker as an example, who is rarely emotional or outspoken, but even Whittaker lately voiced unhappiness with the situation. Sonnen noticed that when calm, reserved fighters such as Whittaker express their displeasure, it indicates that things are completely out of control.
Robert Whittaker came out and said it, and Robert Whittaker, as a multiple-time world champion, has the right to an opinion as to who the champion should be. And he makes a very fair point. Just I don't even know how he still got the belt. He's not putting John down, he's not putting John's skills down.
However, Chael Sonnen raised this problem, and Robert Whittaker questioned why John Jones can still have the belt without a bout scheduled. If two boxers have belts, it is reasonable that they will battle for the interim championship. Not everything is clear. For example, Kobe Covington held an interim title before losing it without a fight. However, the fight community usually accepts that the interim champion is the top challenger who is ready to face the indisputable king.
John didn't mean that. John doesn't mean that he's retired. I'm speaking to the idea that he chose to use the word, and then Robert Whittaker's looking at it and saying, well, how do you still got a belt around this guy? And if you do got a belt around this guy, how does he not have an upcoming fight? If he's got a belt and another guy's got a belt, at a minimum, we know that they're going to compete with each other, right? Right there, I'm summarizing Robert Whittaker, but he makes a perfectly good point. What do we know about the interim championship? Well, not a whole lot. I know that Colby Covington won it, never got beat, woke up one day and was no longer the interim champion. Like, I don't actually know a ton about it, but we have agreed as a community that an interim champion, at a minimum, is the #1 contender.
One thing is certain. If there is an interim champion, there is no need to wait around or wonder who they will face next. It is a given that the temporary champion will stand up and fight the undisputed monarch.
Whoever is the interim champion will fight the undisputed champion, and we know that that's true. Because without even saying it, the penalty for the undisputed champion is the belt will come off them and the interim champion automatically moves up, which is the last thing anybody would ever want or let happen in their own career, which is why it's a foregone conclusion, which is what Robert Whittaker is talking about. And he's right.
Because if the undisputed winner fails to protect the title, it's game over. They're stripped, and the interim champ is instantaneously the genuine deal. Nobody wants to lose their crown in that way. Thus, this clash is not just likely, but unavoidable. Robert Whittaker nailed it, and he is exactly right.
I'm not coming out and saying, strip John. What I'm coming out and I'm trying to bring to your attention, if you're a father, if you're a fighter, if you're aspiring to be a father of a fighter or a fighter that wants to be a world champion, do not look at what John Jones did, copy it, and think you're going to get the same result. Don't think at 37 years old, changing weight classes, spotting some guy some pounds, being on the back of a moped in a different country, not knowing if you're going to fight or not. And when you do come back, you're going to come back against a guy 10 years younger than you and 28 pounds bigger than you.
Meanwhile, UFC heavyweight King John Jones continues to consider unifying the heavyweight belts in a fight against Tom Aspinall. John Jones continues to tease UFC fans regarding his future fights months after beginning talks with the promotion to face interim title holder Tom Aspinall.
My man, I'm excited to see you again. He said, you got 10 years left, but you're still active.
I'm done.
You got to look great. He's like, oh. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, Camille. You look great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's do some business.
Afterward, Aspinall posted footage of him cranking up his training camp. Work, reigniting fan excitement over the probable Jones showdown. But hours later, Jones reaffirmed fears that the Aspinall fight would not come to fruition. Jon Jones recently shared that he's enjoying life and growing in other areas. But UFC fans didn't take it well. Many of them are frustrated because it feels like he's avoiding a fight with Tom Aspinall about that. Fans have been craving at this point. Many fans believe Jones has mentally retired even if he hasn't made it official. The longer he avoids giving clarity, the more damage it does to his reputation and the division's momentum. So the big question remains, will Jon J. the hype has faded? The whispers are circulating, but one thing is certain. If this fight happens, it will be explosive. Two great fighters, contrasting styles, and a lot at stake. Will Jones show that he is still the king, or will Aspinall stun the world? Do you think Jon Jones can still dominate at 37? Can Tom Aspinall's youth and might finally bring down the legend? Stay closely, because when these two meet, the MMA world will not want to miss a moment. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the bell for the most current information.